Good morning.
Good morning.
Many years ago, when I was still living in Florida, I had an automobile that only had a seat that tilted forward and back. It was all one piece. So you could either go like this or like this. That was it. Didn't do anything for my small of my back at all. So I started having problems with it. Didn't want to get rid of the car yet. So I had someone make me a pillow. And the pillow had stitched in it, in the form of a circle, there is but one mind, one law, one principle, one substance in the universe, and I am one with all there is. So that it continued. Started with there is and ended with there is. So it just kept going. Did my back wonders. But then I finally had to get rid of the car. So, interesting how it is that we come into different contexts with the realization that we're all connected. I mean, it's hard sometimes to actually get a handle on that when you're experiencing something that seems to be so far removed from what you may be at your current state, recognizing, generating, perceiving. But we're all made of the same elements. We all live on the same planet. And we're all plugged into the same internet. Our minds are somehow or another connected, and our lives are intertwined. Now, there's a stereotype of the genius who's all by himself, herself, in a room and is coming up with the next innovative whatever. But you know, the fact of the matter is, that's not true. Because in many instances that we already know of, it is several people simultaneously who are working on the same invention, are getting the same information. And it's so prevalent that historians have even called this multiples. So, what's happening here? Where are they getting this stuff? And why is it they're getting it? We aren't. Now, others could say the same thing about us, you see. And that's because we too are getting information that the vast majority of humanity isn't getting right now. It's been called tapping into the collective consciousness, or the hive mind. This phenomenon is revealed in what I was just saying about how multiples can tap into something and be getting the same input. Now, it seems that they're tapped into the same source. And anyone who's tuned into it can have access. So, let's look a little further and see how it is that we are actually connected here. Let's go and look at some of our cousins. Monos. Everyone's familiar with monos? No?
With what?
Monkeys. Monkeys. Yeah. So, there was a study done by anthropologists, and they were studying this particular group of monkeys on an island, and they noticed that the monkeys who ate sweet potatoes started washing them. I know for you that may seem ridiculous because you don't wash your food, but they did. They learned to wash their food. And once there was like a critical mass of these monkeys who got this down, then it began to spread to other islands to other monkeys who picked up on it. They couldn't see across the water, but they got it, which revealed that there was some kind of connection that existed that allowed this transfer of information to occur from one band of monkeys to another, not even on the same island. So, how many of you have heard of Rupert Sheldrake? Okay, some of you have, some of you haven't. Back in the 80s, he did some research along these lines, but it had to do with humans. Not too far removed from monkeys, but anyhow. What he found out was that in the experiments that he did, he proved a collective human memory. And the way he said it was, there seemed to be these existing fields that surrounded the earth. And he called them morphic fields. Just another way of saying collective consciousness or mind hive. But in these, he recognized that these were like universal database. And it stored information. And that information then affected bodies and brains of living things. This shared information could allow the mind to extend beyond the physical brain in both space and time and provide access to the information that was available. So there was a transfer from the morphic field via a resonance. He called it a morphic resonance, but stop and think about this now. We've often heard about whatever it is that you generate energetically is going to attract to you and attract you to similar vibrations and manifestations. Well, if we took this and simply applied it so far as our receptivity, we begin to then get an idea of how it is that we can tap into this, and because of what we are receptive to, what we're excited about, what we're interested in, what we fear, any of these things are going to then allow us to actually access whatever information is available in the surrounding field of energy that actually are all around our earth. Now, Sarah and I were discussing this prior to today's lecture, and one of the things that we remembered was we went to Peru, and in one of the exhibits that they had, it was a flowing chart that went all the way around this entire room. And it began at where history of man was recorded to have started. And then began to reveal the different paths that humanity was taking simultaneously. And the different things that were coming up, being given to humanity, even though it didn't happen at the same place in the same way at the same time. But simultaneously, it was all there to reveal how humanity was receptive to some central source that it was picking up on, that was adding to the progression that all of humanity was making simultaneously. If I hadn't seen it up on this wall, it would not have made the impact on me that it did so far as the realization. There is something that if we are receptive to it, we can pick up on information from it that is not only going to benefit us personally, but also will be for the benefit and well-being of all of humanity. Think of this in terms of explaining evolution. Sometimes evolution seems like such a mystery. But if we look at it from the perspective of here we are, and as we actually open ourselves up we're then able to receive information that is being beamed to us. And those who have the greatest receptivity, i.e. the greatest resonance with it, are going to be the ones who get it, and then are going to be the ones who give it to the rest of humanity. Now, there were several who were involved in the telephone telegraph discovery at the same time, but you notice that only one got it so far as the recognition. The others didn't get it. So if that really is important to you, then you better make sure you write it down as soon as you get it. Because one time in an interview, Michael Jackson said, as soon as he gets inspiration, he writes it down, because he knows if he doesn't get it, then somebody else is going to. Fascinating the way that works. Also the way that things come out in multiples. How many of you are interested or enjoyed seeing the movie The Matrix? Pretty exciting, wasn't it? Okay, in that 2-year period of time, there were similar movies that were life as illusion that came through. One of them was Dark City. Of course, we know The Matrix. The 13th Floor. How many of you are familiar with the 13th Floor? And then Existence. They all came out between 1998 and 1999. Pretty fascinating when you look and you see this. So, let's look at this again. We often find ourselves perplexed by the way things seem to be. What if our minds really aren't in our brains? What if our bodies really are just an instrument of receptivity and expression? What if our brains contain within them antennae that we're really able to pick up on a number of things that are occurring in the fields about us, and in accordance to our resonating with them? So do we get it? What if this is really what's happening right now, so far as what we're privy to, so far as our recognition and awakening to the fact that we are being evolved, but we're actually experiencing the evolution as we live it. Therefore, you look and you see it's a very personal experience, and yet it is a collective benefit that is being gained. Now, how about ego? Where does this little ditty fit into the picture? I want to read something to you that might help you with this. Since we're all connected, so far as who gets recognition for this came through me, I'm the one that invented this, I'm the one that discovered that, I'm the one that got that inspiration. None of this should matter, of course. There's no room for ego if we're all one. The point is to move humanity forward, regardless of who's responsible for each stage of development. So when I speak, should my mouth get credit for what's being said? Or maybe my feet for actually supporting me here instead of sinking into the floor. Or maybe it's my brain that's picking up on all of this. Maybe it should be getting credit. Or maybe it's my suit. So, they're all a part of me. So, what's the difference? Similarly, if we truly believed we're all connected, it wouldn't matter who got credit for what. Just that a part of our oneness helped us all evolve a bit more so that we might be able to better handle the difficult challenges that are coming our way. And this being the case, hooray for us! Yes. This is the marvel of it. We eventually will evolve to that point. But where we are right now, it seems like it might be a few years off. How many of you are familiar with Gregor Mendel? Okay. All right. Those of you who aren't, he made a genetics model. But he made a genetics model that at the time was so far beyond anybody else's comprehension that it was just dismissed. And it wasn't until 35 years later that 3 scientists within 2 years, 1 year of each other, came up with the same thing. And then the collective consciousness of humanity was ready to accept it. Now, this is fascinating when you think about it, because you may get some inspiration, you may create something, and it will meet with absolutely neutral receptivity or even resistance. Hang in there. Maybe 35 years from now, you'll still be alive. I won't worry about it. But anyhow, there will be then the collective receptivity for what was picked up on or what you're picking up on right now. Now let's think about that with consideration where we are. All right, we are unique as a group. We have a receptivity to the morphic field of evolution, awakening, enlightenment that is stirring and stimulating us, and in accordance to our receptivity to it, which includes our choosing to live it and discover more of what it is, we are actually benefiting the whole of humanity. Now, perhaps it's important for you to get credit for it in yourself, but if you stop and think about it, that's going to really lose its luster as you continue to move on in your awakening, because you're going to realize that it is the journey that actually is the exciting part, and not any one result that you may gain along the path. But from where we are right now, you look out there and you think, is it even possible for us to begin to accept that we are truly all connected? That our minds are not our brains? That our brains are simply antennae? That this reality is in fact a simulation? Within a simulation? Within a simulation? And that our God is simply the programmer of this universe. And that the original God simply wanted to create this first simulation so that it could slowly experience everything it already knew. So when you have one of those eureka moments and you say, aha, I've got it, there's going to be another part of you, your higher self, your source self, who's going to be saying, I knew that. Thank you. For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.